Thank you, Senator. Professor Flint, one of the issues that has come up and has continually come up in this discussion is the reference to the foreign head of state. And I was wondering if you had any comments on that particular commonly used phrase. My understanding legally would be that it would be more accurate to say we have a shared head of state.
That is one interpretation. We've taken the view, which I'm pleased to say was a view adopted by the High Court in 1907, that you have three positions. You have the sovereign, the King or Queen is the sovereign, and then you have the constitutional head, which is the Governor-General, and then you have the Prime Minister and so on, the head of government. There is a view, and I think there's some validity, that there is a shared head of state, and that has been put out. It's not something we strongly hold. You see, it depends whether you're talking about international law or constitutional law. The term head of state comes from international law, from diplomacy, when the generic term prince fell out of favour in the 19th century with the emergence of republics. The term head of state began to be used. It was not used in internal constitutional law, hence you will find it in no constitutional document relating to Australia. It was first introduced in an internal constitution by General Franco in Spain, who tried to keep the republic but make himself head of state. He became Jefe de Estado, and the same happened in France when Marshal Pétain, who obviously did not like the republican system but wanted to head the state, became chef d'etat. It's interesting that the term was first used in internal constitutions in fascist states. It's been used further. It's not strictly a term of art in relation to the Constitution, but I can see the argument that there's a shared head of state. There's some people who say that the Queen is constitutionally is the head of state and the Governor-General is the effective head of state. The fact is that the powers that relate to a head of state normally relate to a head of state. For example, the reserve powers are held by the Governor-General. They're powers of the Crown, they're exercised by the Governor-General, and they're not reviewable by the Queen. She said so in 1975. She confirmed that when Speaker Scholes tried to have her change the Governor-General's mind. So it's an interesting legal area, but I would say from an international point of view, the Governor-General is definitely the head of state. And from a domestic point of view, I think the term constitutional head of state is best applied to the Governor-General. The Queen is the sovereign, but she is still indispensable to the constitutional system because she is at the apex of the Australian Crown. She's not a foreign person. She's not only British. She's Canadian. She's Australian. She's New Zealand. I don't think you can say that she is in any way foreign to Australia.
Just picking up on what Senator Ryan just raised, in this version of the Constitution, which was published in 2001, in the overview, it does actually state that Australia's head of state is Queen Elizabeth II. Now, and I don't have it handy, but in the 2007 version, this statement no longer appears. How do you explain that?
I can't explain that, but I noticed that the Commonwealth authorities have gone from side to side on this. Under Mr Keating and Mr Hawke, the official government directory said the Governor-General is the head of state. When the document emerged under Mr Howard, curiously, that document came out with the Queen as head of state. Now it's disappeared. It's an interesting debate, but it's, as Professor George Winterton said in one of his last essays, it's an arid debate and not something which really assists the Republican debate to any great extent.
Yes, it's an interesting debate, and it goes to the heart of the Republican marketing machine, which is a mate for head of state or a resident for president, those sorts of, pithy slogans that seem to resonate out there with people. And yet, if it's factually incorrect, a mate for head of state or something along those lines, surely there is a reasonable argument to be had about it.
I think there's no doubt that the Governor-General is head of state and the Queen is sovereign. But the Republicans have had some interesting arguments. For example, in 1999, we were told by Mr Rann and Mr Grasby that unemployment was created by the constitutional monarchy, that a republic would improve trade. The Vice-Chancellor of Melbourne University said that if we didn't vote yes, we would be the laughing stock of Asia. There were all sorts of arguments put. Mr Sang, who's a member of the Legislative Council in New South Wales, said it would improve immigration and the number of people seeking citizenship. All sorts of arguments were advanced by the Republicans. I think you can take most of them with a grain of salt.
Tablespoon. Senator Ryan.
Could I ask that you send for the details of the case you referred to, the 1907 case, to the committee?
Certainly.
But I haven't heard of that before. It's an interesting...
It's the King and the Governor of South Australia, 1907 Commonwealth Law Reports, and I will send you the precise reference.
Thank you.
And it was an interesting decision because all of our founders, all of our great founders, Isaac Isaacs and so on, were there.